Welcome back. Imagine growing up as the daughter of television legends Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz.
For Lucie Arnaz, a life in the spotlight was her normal. Now, 7 decades on, the actor and singer is shining bright and carrying on her parents' legacy.
Here's Lucie.
Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz were Hollywood's most famous on-screen couple, falling in love and starting a family in real life. So there was never any doubt their daughter, Lucie Arnaz, was destined for showbiz, growing up in front of the cameras.
You look so cute in that outfit.
Thank you, Mrs. Bagley.
Congratulations on becoming a drum major in.
Oh, thank you, Sherman.
Aren't you going to say something nice to Cynthia?
I'll have a banana split.
After playing Cynthia on The Lucie Show, she returned with her mum and brother, Desi Arnaz Jr., for one of the biggest TV shows of the 60s and 70s. Here's Lucie.
Why don't you start out big with a shot of the family's glamorous young teenager? The calla lilies are in bloom again. Such a lovely flower.
The young star went on to appear in a number of notable films, including The Jazz Singer with Neil Diamond and Sir Laurence Olivier, which earned her a Golden Globe nomination. Now in her 70s, Lucie's giving back to the industry in which she was raised. Her 2 latest projects see her returning to the famous studios her parents built and diving into their most private correspondence.
Gee, this must have been put on with pretty strong stuff.
Here, let me try, honey.
Ow!
And the incredible Lucie Arnaz joins us live from Palm Springs. Morning, Lucie. Lovely to see you.
Thank you so much. What a thrill to talk to you guys way across the world.
The clips show just how hilarious your family were on screen. Was it like that off camera as well?
Wouldn't that be wild if it was? Wow, can you imagine? I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. I'd be in a home somewhere with rubber walls.
Your father is often seen through the lens of Ricky Ricardo, of course, but what was he like in the quiet moments, the dad, not the performer?
You know, a wonderful writer who is the New York Times and Vanity Fair writer and usually does political bios, just did a wonderful biography on my father, of all people. His name is Todd Purdom, and he put out a book called Desi Arnaz, The Man Who Invented Television, which is kind of amazing to me. I opened up all of our archives for him, and he put out this book because he thought that Desi needed an exploration, that he was a very interesting man and with many more talents than people realize. And I was so honored that he thought that, because he's right. And my father was a very complicated, charismatic genius. I don't use that word lightly. He really was. He had a tremendous intuition, and he was innovative, and he wasn't afraid to try things. He lost everything that they had in the revolution in Cuba in 1933. And so he was always saying, like, whatever it takes, let's just figure out how to do this. And he was charming, wonderful to be with at home. He had problems, like everybody has their stuff. He had challenges, but he eventually overcame most of them. And I have to say, he was a terrific dad.
So that's Dad. Let's talk about your mum, a trailblazer in TV production. People might not know that she approved original production concepts like The Untouchables and Star Trek. Did you ever witness a moment of her power that made you go, like, wow, she's ahead of her time?
Well, those things have gotten a little bit blown out of proportion. My father actually created The Untouchables, and then later on, after he left the studio, a couple of the projects that he had put into the works, Star Trek for one and Mission Impossible for another one, had made pilots, and they were very expensive, and nobody was buying them, and they were about to drop them, like, we're not going to make these, they're too expensive. And it was my mother who said, Gary likes them, and that was my stepfather, Gary Morton, and he had watched the pilots and he liked them, and so my mother said, no, let's keep them. He likes them. Thank God she said that, or we wouldn't have Star Trek today. We wouldn't have Mission Impossible, and Tom Cruise wouldn't have a life. That's all.
I love the way you just slipped that into conversation. That's amazing. Another story we love, a fan who is an up-and-coming filmmaker approached you to be part of their film. You accepted. You've got to talk us through the Dr. Sam concept and how it came about.
Well, you know, I have this wonderful guy, Raji Ahsan, who I've been sort of mentoring for the last few years, and he's a really brilliant guy, and he's a good writer, and he finally wrote a short film. And he came back to me after asking me a lot of questions about how to do some of this show business stuff, and he said, "Would you play the mom in this film if we get it going?" And I went, "Really?" Well, first of all, he's Egyptian, and I went, "I don't think anybody's going to believe that." No, I'll be adopted. So I said, "Hey, you know what? If you've got a part for me that's good, let me read it. If it's good, I'll do it." And it was good, and I did it. Yeah.
And so you returned to the studio lot that your parents built for a nostalgic fundraising event. This was to help the filmmakers. What was it like to return to the historic Desilu, now Paramount Studios?
Well, you know, Paramount, I've done a lot of work at Paramount, too. I did Sons and Daughters there. My husband did Star Trek there. I've done tons and tons of little on and off, shows here and there over the years. And we actually worked on the other side of Paramount. We worked on the what used to be RKO. And then my parents bought RKO and turned it into Desilu. And then she sold it to Paramount. So Desilu became part of Paramount. So in a way, I wasn't working where my parents worked. Well, actually, I was, because it was RKO back in the day. No, that's the other side. Never mind. It's too complicated. It's all one big lot now, because now Paramount, Viacom, they own everything. They own you. Did you know that? They own everybody.
You don't have to worry about the geography. We're not going to fact check your geography. You can just say you were there. You also said to release...
We did a fundraiser for I showed my Lucy Desi home movie film for lots of people, and they did questions and answers afterwards. But the whole event was in order to raise money to finish the editing and the...
Right.
That's great.
OK, you're also set to release a deeply personal book about your parents, the relationship, titled Lucie and Desi, The Love Letters. Tell us about that. Is there a particular letter that really took you by surprise as you rifled through them?
Oh, God, no, they're all amazing. These are letters that they wrote to each other in the early 40s when the World War II was on. They had just barely gotten married. And, it took a little bit into the early 60s, but their own original letters, in their own original handwriting with the, stationery that had their names. My mother kept them all, even after she divorced my father. So I've had these for 35 years. And I never knew what to do with them. I can't put them in a museum because you don't want people to touch them. They'll they'll just disintegrate. Yeah. So I digitized them all. And just this past year, I asked our friends at Running Press if they would like to make sort of a beautiful coffee table book and let people see them and read them. We typed them up, we transcribed them, I wrote the foreword. And so I'm releasing this beautiful, beautiful book of their love letters to each other, which I just think everybody should see.
Yeah, that's a really lovely idea. Lucie, it's been terrific to talk to you. We know you've said no to every other Australian interview for the last 3 or 4 decades, but we were your favourite, so we appreciate that.
I have to do a shout out to Laura Johansson and her family, who are in Brisbane right now, and she runs all my social media and my website. And so, Laura, thank you for watching. We love you, and she's Australian.
Good on you, Laura.
Fantastic.
All right, Lucie, thank you.
Over there.
Thank you, Lucie. Find out more about Lucie's latest film. It's called Dr. Sam. That's what it looks like. Or to pre-order her new book, Lucie and Desi, The Love Letters. Head to themorningshow.com.au.